Thank you all very much. And let me thank you for the dedication and the hard work you do in the political process for the people of Michigan and for the people of the United States of America. Thank you so much for what you do. Now, one of the issues that I have been talking about is the need for a revolution in how we do mental health in America. And I see that as I watch the Republican debates, I see the urgency of that more and more. I do not believe that the American people will ever elect a president of the United States who insults Mexicans, who insults Muslims, who insults women, who insults veterans. I believe the American people understand that the future of our nation is bringing people together, not dividing them. What our campaign has been about is taking on a corrupt campaign finance system which is undermining American democracy. Together, we are going to overturn Citizens United. Now, some of you may agree with me and some of you may not. But what democracy is about is one person, one vote, not billionaires buying elections. And this campaign is about dealing with a rigged economy, an economy in which the middle class is shrinking, and which millions of people are working longer hours for lower wages. All of us know and are proud that the economy today under President Obama is far, far better than the economy that George W. Bush left us, with 800,000 people a month losing their jobs. But we all know that we still have a long way to go to rebuild the American middle class. In my view, we have got to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I have been to Flint, Michigan, and talked to some of the people there. And what I heard was not only incredibly painful, but to be very honest with you, I was shaken to believe that what I heard was happening in the United States of America in the year 2016. It sounded like a third or fourth world country, not the United States of America, which is why we must rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. And when we do that, we create millions of good-paying jobs. And in my view, not only do we raise the minimum wage, we have pay equity for women, so that women are not making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. One of the embarrassments of American politics today is that we have a major political party called the Republican Party that refuses to even acknowledge the reality of climate change. Believe me, climate change is real. It is caused by human activity and already causing devastating problems throughout this country and throughout the world. Now, I have been criticized for saying it, which gives me more motive to say it again. There is one country in the industrialized world that does not guarantee health care to all people. You're living in it. It's got to change. I believe that health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. And I will fight, if elected president, for a Medicare for all program. Now, I think it is fair to say that any objective observer would tell you that the Democratic nomination process has been conducted in a way with dignity and nowhere near the ugly politics we're seeing in the Republican process. And I think the American people respect that. And I think that no matter who wins the nominating process, and we're very proud that tonight we won in Kansas with a good vote, won in Nebraska with a good vote, and we think we're going to do well in Maine tomorrow, but no matter, and we think we're going to do very well here on Tuesday in your great state. But no matter who wins this Democratic nomination, I have not the slightest doubt that on our worst day, we will be infinitely better than the Republicans on their best day. But a campaign is about ideas, and a campaign is about differences of opinion. Those differences should be stated honestly. We should not be insulting people, but we should be talking about the real issues. And there's one issue out there that I feel very strongly about, and my view is different than Secretary Clinton's. From day one, from my first day in Congress, I understood that trade policies like NAFTA, permanent normal trade relations with China, Colombian free trade agreement, and a host of these free trade agreements, I believe they were written to benefit corporate America and against the best interest of the American worker. And I was right, because what has happened over the last 20, 30 years is we have lost tens of thousands of factories in this country, millions of decent paying jobs, as companies shut down here, went to cheap labor in Mexico, cheap labor in China, cheap labor elsewhere. In every one of these major trade agreements, I have not only voted against them, but I have helped lead the opposition to see that they did not occur. And I'm helping to lead the opposition against the TPP. On this issue, Secretary Clinton and I have disagreed. She supported NAFTA. She supported PNTR with China. She voted for PNTR with Vietnam and a host of other trade agreements. I believe those trade agreements have cost us millions of jobs nationally and many, many jobs in Michigan, Illinois, and Ohio. If I am elected President of the United States, we will, thank you, we will transform our trade policy. Our demand is that corporate America invest in the United States of America, not just China, not Vietnam, and not Mexico. Now, I know not everybody will agree with me, but I think if you look at the political situation objectively right now, number one, every poll, or almost every poll that I have seen in terms of Bernie Sanders versus Donald Trump, we win, and we win big. And in most of those polls, we do better than Secretary Clinton, and I'll tell you why. It's not just that we win, obviously, the vast majority of the Democrats, we win a lot of independents as well. And the way to the White House is to win Democrats and to win independents and to make sure Trump does not win independents. You know, in 2008, Barack Obama ran what I personally consider to be one of the great campaigns in the history of the United States of America. It was a brilliant campaign. And what he did is energize the American people, working people, elderly people, young people, minorities. He brought people together. Now, what we are trying to do in this campaign, and I don't think we can emulate what Obama did, but what I am very proud of is that last week in Colorado, they had the largest voter turnout in their caucus in the history of that state. and we won that state by some 19%. Today, as I understand it, Kansas had the largest voter turnout in the history of their caucus process, and I think we won that state very substantially. And I say that because the challenge that we face as Democrats and as Americans is that Republicans will always win when the voter turnout is low. That's what they hope for. Their dream is low voter turnout and billionaires buying elections. Our vision is exactly the opposite. It is a large voter turnout with working people, elderly people, young people getting involved in the political process and eliminating the ability of billionaires to buy elections. What I am proud of is in this campaign, and if you followed me around the country, seeing huge turnouts. I can't use the word huge anymore because everybody else, I know. Got to remove that from my vocabulary. But we are seeing giant turnouts of working people and young people, many of whom have not participated in the political process. We will win in November if we have a large voter turnout. Honestly, I believe I am the candidate to create that large voter turnout and make sure that we retain the White House. Thank you all very much.